What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Happy Friday. Great morning. Glad to be getting going here with you this morning. Obviously, there's a lot for us to unravel, a lot for us to get situated with. We're going to work this all out together. We're going to make sure that everyone leaves here going into the weekend feeling pretty secure about how they should be viewing the market and positioned. We're going to do that all together right now. First, I want to check in with all of you. I'm going to spend a couple of more minutes checking in with all of you. I want to see everything that everyone is checking in with me this morning, because that's important to me. Game 7. Thanks, Dave. I am definitely glad I took the time to check in. A lot of important insight, a lot of important questions in there. So now let us get to work. Yeah, one of the things was, could we clean up this trend line over here so that we have a clear look when the break occurs, which looks like it is peaking above right now. But we all know, what do we all know? We don't take the breakout. The breakout itself is a very low probability trade because often you get a wick down. So I'm just, all right, this session is uber important for us all. There's a lot of good questions in there. We're going to actually get into them all. We're going to give a really solid overview of the market, and then it's Friday. So we're going to be able to take some questions and just have a different flow than we normally do. Uh-oh, he's taking off the sweatshirt. He's getting ready. It's time to go. We'll clean this line up a little bit over here. I don't want you to focus so much on it, though. And what I mean by that is we do not take breakouts. Breakouts are very low probability trades. Let me try and just even clone this one over here. Hold on one second. Let me clone this one over here. Not that that's a nice line either, but I just want to see. I don't like it either. All right. Give me a second here. I want this to be nice so that we all feel comfortable. It's very important right now. My goal of this session is to get everyone walking away with just some nice bit of confidence. So this one's easier, right? That one looks like that. You see the peaks over there, right? So I'm going to clone this line over here. I'm going to bring it up. This is a guide. This is not exact. You can see it looks like we are breaking out above. I believe we're breaking out above over here, but that does not mean that it's going to hold. All right. So plain and simple, it's Friday morning. All right. We need to get some situational awareness. What's going over here? Thanks, TSM. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with us now. I really do. All right. So we are waiting for it to happen. If we break outside of this consolidation over here to the upside, we are then going to experience a counter trend move because the trend is down on the DXY, on the dollar index. We'll be looking for a counter trend move. The next place we're targeting, we have looked at 93.30 as an obstacle we need to get above, right? So let me draw that in. 93.30 also needs to get above. So what might happen, what probably will happen if it's going to be a successful breakout, is we come up into 98.30, come back down to test that broken resistance, and then as you flip it up, that's when you think that this is a successful breakout of this consolidation of this channel over here. All right, so it's too soon. It's too soon. You could actually see in the next 20 minutes before the U.S. equity markets open, you could see a retrace back down into there. All right, so we will check back in on this together. We'll check back on what's going on in the DXY together a little bit further into the session. Right now, I just want everyone to see that it looks like that we are probably or potentially breaking out of the channel to the upside, right? I do need to include 93.30. That's an important resistance line in there. So let's have that in there. It looks like we're breaking out. We need to wait for a retest because often what happens is breakouts fail. So we need a retest. Look over here. You see over here, this was a breakdown, and then the retest failed, right? Do we have any further of the other channel we're looking at over here? I remember this one very, very clear. This was a Friday. This was a Friday, and we were breaking down outside of the channel. We gapped up on Monday. Does that sound like it could potentially be familiar or similar, rather? We're in a Friday now. That's why you wait for the retest and the resumption. You turn a low probability trade into a high probability trade. What's up, Will? Good to see you over there. All right, so DXY, solid, right? We're seeing gold come off pretty substantially this morning, for sure. Gold has been, look at this candle, by the way. When you get this type of price action, taking out the previous high, right, is like a fakie, and then coming back down, that's often a pretty powerful price action indication that we are going to see further downside weakness. However, it's too soon. You can see that you're still holding this trend line over here, right? Still holding that trend line over there. Is it potentially breaking down? We said if we break below that trend line and below this level, then that sets up a perhaps prolonged move down on gold. That looks like that could be developing very clearly today. Watch out for that if you're involved in gold on a short term time basis. Watch out for there. What's happening with silver? Silver looks still a little bit better than gold. You have over here, I'm looking straight there. I'll keep that line in there. Sometimes the lines that I do the session before, they retrace. Should you short silver? Well, I don't think so. I don't short anything in a bull market. I look to buy off support in a bull market. Gold and silver are entering a multi-year bull market. All right? I would never short silver, and I would never short it down over here into support. Do you see that we're coming into support? Never short something into support. Right? You sell into resistance. You buy off support. All right? So, silver looking a little bit better than gold still, right? Watch out. Let's see what happens. We're going to keep focusing back on the DXY and see whether we hold or not this session. Important session. Let's discuss the job numbers, by the way. We had a nice report. Non-farm payroll came in line. The important piece over here, I guess it's two, but this one really stood out to me. The sharp increase in average hourly earnings, something the Fed was very focused on last year, right? Before pre-crisis. Very focused on that. So that was very positive. And then you also had the unemployment rate coming better than expected. However, that was largely because you see 1/4 of the total gains was because of you had 344,000 workers hired for the census. All right. So just be aware, of what's going to stay, what's going to stick and what's not. I think this is why we're talking about jobs right now is kind of important to focus in on. We had yesterday, the Federal Reserve's Evans was talking, and he was saying, this was from the Financial Times, he was saying a couple of different things that was pretty important. First of all, this is, I don't know if that's signal or noise. He's saying he would be comfortable with 2.5% inflation. First of all, the way that whatever, right? Let's take this is the important piece. In one of the most direct interventions on fiscal matters, right? Because this is the Federal Reserve supposed to get involved in fiscal matters of the U.S. government. From a leading U.S. central banker, he said that the U.S. recovery critically dependent on substantial additional support. We keep talking about more stimulus is coming. That's signal. More stimulus is coming. Now, it's going to come from both the government and the Fed. The problem being, listen, we're all grown-ups here. We don't have any moderators in the chat. We leave politics aside. All right? That nonsense is for other places online. We got a beautiful, beautiful place in here, and it's going to stay and remain that way. All right? But the thing is that we are coming up into an election, right? So we really don't have both sides working for the American people. Because if we did, there are a lot of people out there who really don't have food at the table, right? And they would be looking to help. So are we going to get that stimulus before the election? We'd probably get out of the house together like a small piece of help, and probably from the Treasury a larger piece. But after the election, no matter who wins, there will be more stimulus coming. That's signal. All right? To avoid a sharp reduction in household spending and a wave of business failures. Partisan politics threaten to endanger additional fiscal relief. Yep, that's for sure. That's what we're experiencing. All right. So, what else? Let's look what's going on with Bitcoin before we get into the equity markets. Will they pump stimulus before? Both. There'll be small amount of stimulus before, and then afterwards, they'll be big. In my opinion. Just in my opinion. So this is Bitcoin is in a very how do you say, precarious situation. This looks very dangerous here for Bitcoin. Why do I say that? Well, you guys remember this 10,572 support level that I have over the look, I caught that comment earlier about being mindful of calling out the levels. I will try to do that as often as possible. And if I forget, please feel free to remind me if it's something that is useful for you. No problem with that whatsoever. So will gold, silver break the correlation from the DXY? Everyone is really focused on the dollar because it's a dollar story. We'll talk about that a little later. We'll get if anyone wants to bring that up a little bit later. All right. So Enrico, we started off with the dollar. Pull back on the stream just a few minutes until we start getting to the DXY then, and that's what you want to focus in on. So, all right, here we go. So 10,572, we're in a very critical situation here for Bitcoin, because what happens after you have a breakdown? Retest. If this is a successful retest and you resume down off of this, then we could be expecting closing the CME gap to 9,600, and then possibly coming down towards, look over here, this lot a bit of supply over here. This is also our trend line over here. This is also a 25% pullback from the all-time high. All right. So this is you have to watch what happens here. If you resume down off of this, then you're expecting, or I would be expecting, further follow through, taking out this low and then coming down, closing that CME gap, and then into this area over here. Be aware of that. Now, is it possible that this is a false break? Yeah, if we're able to close the gap and get back above there, back above 10,572 by the close today. So Bitcoin is something very, very critical to watch over here. So everyone be aware ahead of time. Is it Bitcoin bouncing? I mean, it got slaughtered yesterday. The whole crypto market got slaughtered yesterday. You're seeing some, like, these gains look maybe nice to you, 7%, 5%, 6%, 18%. But if you think about the bloodbath yesterday, that could be a dead cat bounce as well. So just be aware. It's too soon to tell. Crude oil, I think, is still unattractive. You're just staying in this very tight range that we've been in for quite a while. I mean, price is basically sideways. That's not an attractive market for me. I stay away from sideways markets. That's why, if you remember, we crushed crude oil in the beginning of the year until we got to about 1450. I didn't expect it to go zero. But I've stayed away since, and it's not attractive. We have on Tuesday, we have a live training session. The email will be sent out and posted in the Telegram group, but we are returning now to our normal schedule. Every Tuesday we'll have those live training sessions, and get everyone in there. You have the ability, right, for those one-on-one questions, anything course related whatsoever, to help keep you going. September is now the time really where we're going to push hard, and that's when we'll be starting. So let's get back into the equity markets over here. So this is an important question. It's Friday, so we have more of the flow, right, where we could talk about things like that. And I saw this come up in Twitter overnight, so I was going to address that as well. That was also, related to the dollar. What happens if we get dollar strength? Well, we're not seeing dollar strength. We're seeing severe dollar weakness, right? What's it off? 11% on the year. If we're seeing really bad dollar weakness, this right over here could be a counter trend move, counter trend, not the start of a new trend, right? And which would make sense with these levels that we're seeing over here. It's too soon to say, but if you saw like if we had another crisis, now there's a difference between feeling extraordinarily pain in the economy, households, businesses shuttering, right? That's one thing. And there's a difference between having a euro dollar crisis, a dollar shortage. That's a whole nother beast, right? And you saw what happened when we had that dollar shortage crisis, because that was the difference between 2008 and 2020. 2020 was a dollar crisis. If and when, or I should say when that occurs again, I don't think it's going to be for quite a while, you know? And if I had to just pick a number out of thin air, I'm saying 6 years from now. That's thin air, though. It doesn't mean that's meaningless. But we're not having a dollar crisis. The Fed addressed that dollar crisis, and the Fed has been very clear since. They think they've acted sufficiently, overreacted. They're not seeing any signs of any dollar shortages or even concerned about it. Also, if you noticed, China said that they are going to be selling 20% of their treasury holdings. Let me find the headline for you. China to gradually sell 20% of its U.S. treasury holdings, right? So if China is looking to reduce their treasuries, they're also not worried about a dollar shortage. Otherwise, they would be holding on to those treasuries because they would need them in a crisis. So I am not even remotely thinking about any type of dollar crisis. That's something that would cause, again, a correlation to one for everything that would see a short-term, crash in Bitcoin. But just like last time, it'll be bought up just as quick. But that's not something I'm looking for. When people say yesterday and they look at what happened yesterday when the stock market completely dumped, right? We're going to get into the equity markets next. They're rightfully so. They're worrying, well, what happens if we see a big correction in the equity markets? What's going to happen to Bitcoin? What's going to happen to gold? Well, a couple of thoughts right there. All right. First of all, it's not until we get into 2021, right? And specifically the last 6 months that you're going to see that correlation break drastically between Bitcoin, the altcoins, and everything else. Same thing in 2022 when you have the ultra bear market in Bitcoin. The correlation's also going to break. It doesn't matter if stocks are going up. It doesn't matter if the dollar is going down. Bitcoin and altcoins are going to crash. The correlation for those phases of the 4-year cycle is off. All right. So that's what you have to be focused on. Bitcoin, regardless of what the dollar does, regardless of what the stock market does, and regardless of what the Federal Reserve does, is going on to do its thing. Now, it is the only thing that could kind of break that model is because of the stimulus that we're looking at coming over the next 6 months, as well as further action by the Federal Reserve. That's just fuel to the fire, and it is possible that we could see maybe even a quicker appreciation in the price of Bitcoin, and maybe even overshoot to the upside. Right? Gemma, just watch when we exit next year. Watch when we exit next year. All right. There's one. By the way, Kips, thank you. So I didn't notice, come back to the JPY, right? When the markets crashed, the yen, you didn't see a flight into safety. So people actually were asking, was it puts that caused the action in the stock market yesterday? Well, it was actually the call buying. Right? It was actually the call buying. It was actually the melt up that we were calling this a melt up as it was happening, right? And that's actually what caused the volatility, right? So here we are. We don't know. All right, let's talk about this now. Before I move forward, is everyone kind of clear from where we are right now? Regarding the dollar, regarding the correlation, regarding the risk. And I like the fact that you all are worried about where you're wrong and the risk. That's exactly what you should be doing. That's exactly what you should be doing. David, I went ahead and added trend lines over here on the Nasdaq. Rex shared this yesterday with me, and Rex was like, "Hey Jordan, look at the trend lines that I included on the Nasdaq," and then I cloned them, right? And then I have them over here, and look at these levels. Let's share this because it could help other people. And I'm great, Rex. Big shout out. I'm grateful for that. That's awesome. I appreciate it. There he is. Thanks, Rex. And I went ahead and added these lines in over here. And they give you some type of, Some type of guidance, right? It's great. You can see right now, first of all, as we've come down over here, we are caught up into resistance right now. Right now, we're caught up into resistance, right? So watch what happens. It's kind of like Bitcoin. It's at a very precarious place. When you have these type of down moves and then you get 1 or 2 moves up and then a resumption down, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous price action development. That happened over here on Bitcoin yesterday. Look at this down move and then the 1, 2 bars up and then boom. That pattern occurs over and over and over again. That's a dangerous one. So here it could be developing again, actually. You have another 2 price bars up. Right? If we get rejected here and then resume down, watch out. Watch your backside. But also have that perspective that this is an opportunity. If we do trade down to there, that's probably the last golden opportunity that we would get of this cycle. And we'll see what happens if we test them there or not. The altcoins just crashed. Oh, when are we expecting this altcoin crash? But if so we're talking about cycles here. So last time altcoins peaked out a couple of weeks after Bitcoin did in mid to late December. Altcoins peaked out a couple of weeks later. It's probably going to be more or less the same thing this time. All right. Now we're not talking about trying to time the top or exit Bitcoin. We won't be doing that for about 14 months or so. Then we'll focus in on that. At the time we exit Bitcoin, that's the time to be looking to exit all altcoins as well. Let's look over here. Let's look at the equity markets this morning. We'll start with the Nasdaq. It's down 0.5% right now. It was down pre-market a bunch, right? What was it? I don't even know what it was in total down pre-market, but it's bouncing here. Again, you don't know if this is a dead cat bounce and we're going to see a further correction. Right? This is where we would really want to get involved in this area over here. This is where everyone is the fear index is going to be through the roof. Everyone, did you notice, by the way, that everyone yesterday is calling the top and that everyone is comparing that to the .com bubble top? Now, I don't know, but from what I do know, that very few people are able to get out at the top. When you have the general consensus that it's the top, well, it's probably not the top, right? When everyone is calling the top, it's probably not the top, all right? So over here, if we come back into this area on the Nasdaq, if we do get over the next week a further correction down, this will be a place where we will be really focused on the equity markets. We will be hyper focused on the equity markets. By the way, you could see this channel goes lower. So I'm not going to draw that in right with you right now. But this is the last line down over here. That will be the make or break it. But I'm looking at this area of horizontal support. That's important for me. Horizontal support is much more important than trend line. Okay? By the way, I know it's Friday, so the flow is different. But we do have 1,300 people in here. And we are kind of lacking on the thumbs up. If you are happy to be here and I'm happy you're here, please go ahead, support the channel. Please hit that like button. Thank you, Aaron, for that, man. I appreciate that. I'm going to be going over more direct questions after we get the overview of the markets. That's what we need to do first because it's Friday and we're not looking to establish new positions on a Friday morning, right? After, during overnight London session, of course. Right now, not so much. Thank you so much, man. Hey, thank you so much. May God bless you too, my brother. All right. Boom. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate that. Mario, I do appreciate it. It gets me amped up. I'm able to get more into the flow when I see those thumbs up flying. All right. So is it possible that we are able to stabilize over here? It is possible. And if we do, I would not be looking to establish a long over here because the risk to reward is still not there. The only time that we want to get reestablished into equities is when the risk to reward is back in our favor, and it's not yet. That being said, we also, at the same time, it's too soon. You're trying to basically, the whole thing is that you just want to take trades when you actually have an edge and when you have a higher probability. Taking a trade down over here is just really gambling. There's nothing there for you. Do you remember the last time I took a position on the Nasdaq was right over here? It was after we made a break of that trend line over here, and then came back in and retested it and then resumed off of it. That was a beautiful trade to take. That was the time to get in. So, by the way, nothing yet is establishing itself, so I don't have anything to work off of. But if we were to get, some type of test into this trend line and then establish, this is just arbitrary. This means nothing right now. But maybe next week we'll be able to do something to help us. If we're able to get some type of guidance to lean against, and then when we break that and coming off of support, then we could look for an entry into the equity markets. It's too soon. Just stay on the sidelines. Because did you ever notice that you've gotten yourself into a trade for the wrong reasons? When I say wrong reasons, I mean you did it without a strategy or a plan, right? And then what happened? You started watching the price, tick after tick after tick for hours, and then maybe a day, and then you were like, oh my goodness, if I wasn't stuck in this position, here's where I would be entering. Well, stop doing that. Just watch the market until you know that this is the time to enter, and then take your entry, and you're going to see your overall win ratio improve drastically. S&P 500, right? Looking a little bit better so far than the Nasdaq, as well as the Dow, and I like that. I am a big fan of the rotation out of Nasdaq over here into other sectors. That's healthier for the long-term sustainability of the market, right? So in the long run, yeah, the Nasdaq will continue to outperform. No question about that. When we talk about inflation and deflation, I am absolutely certain that technology is deflationary. 100%. And guess what? All these big tech companies, what are they looking to do? They're looking to automate more and more stuff, right? Which means that less and less workers. By the way, it's not really in the forefront of the market. I don't know why. We're seeing that an antitrust case is being brought up against Google. It looks like they're making progress on that, and that probably will really, before November, really come into the forefront. In the long term, though, that doesn't mean that you do not want to own Google. Probably more so that you do, right? So, yeah, some things right now are for sure are inflationary and others are deflationary. We don't need to get into that, but food prices are sure rising. Food prices are sure rising right now. So let's get back over to the S&P. First of all, it's too soon. It's Friday. We no need to take who wants to hold a position over the weekend right now? Not me, right? It's Friday. We're just right now. We're looking to do a couple of things. We're looking to accomplish 3 things this morning because it's a different session. It's Monday. We're not looking to establish positions. We're looking to get everyone on the same page. We're looking to bring clarity. We're looking to get everyone prepared for what we want to do next week. And we're also looking, number 2, have a good morning After yesterday, a lot of people, they might be feeling a little bit, how do you say, well, if you're feeling it, we're looking to kind of to get you right. Number 3, we're going to be able to have a fun Friday session where I could take direct questions because we're not looking for that setup today, right? A lot of traders in a rush to make money. I assure you, all that you're going to do is lose your money. Take my patience, take my perspective, and put that into your arsenal. It's going to be a huge edge in the markets. If you do not have the patience that it takes to be a trader, to be an investor, then you're going to lose money. All right? Boom, 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 boom. Food prices up. That's interesting. I am only, in my opinion, that gold, the precious metals. By the way, we have to check in what's going on with copper. We have to check in what's going on with palladium. They're just getting started. They're just getting started, right? Here's a nice, this one we looked at yesterday. So this is the last bull market. This is the bear market. And you see this trend line over here, right? We just made new all-time highs. We are just, in my opinion, getting started on this bull market. When I saw this saucer over here, this rounding bottom, I mean, that is extraordinarily bullish. So we're just getting started. You're looking to accumulate precious metal. I'm looking to, hopefully the rest of my life, I'm looking to keep buying precious metals, and I'm not looking to sell them. All right, let's keep going over here. S&P 500, Nasdaq, it's all the same thing. We are waiting right now. Do you see over here where we bottomed out? I'm not doing this right now because I don't need to. But like, if you move the line up, right, and you see where we touched out, you see the support there. You see the touches over there. But down over here where I have it, I'm focused in right over there. That's where I was focused in on. I'm focused where the market's focused in on, right? But it's not black and white. You could see I came into the peak over here and the bottom over here. But if I go to the top right over there, right, that's where we just bottomed out. So, I mean, either way, right? I guess that's where the market's focused right now. That's kind of important. I just want you to see that. But we're in no man's land. You see we're also kind of back right now between this channel and this channel. Do you see how long we were back in there as well? Right? Do you see that this is like an area actually where we get extended for periods of time. So that's good. That's even actually a better guide for you. While you're caught up in that consolidation of these two, stay on the sideline. Wait for a breakout. Wait for a retest. Get the next direction. Yeah, I don't have any type of crystal ball, that's for sure. So let's go on the DXY. Let's see what it's doing this morning. Continuing to break out to the highs here. Now that's good ever since the U.S. equities have opened. Gold is actually, by the way, the dollar is pretty strong on this session so far. Now we're looking what happens at 93.30, right? And it would, first of all, it would be very probable, let's say, that we come into 19.30 and then go back down for the retest, right? If you get the resumption off, that's when we're looking for the move on the dollar, okay? That's when we're looking for the move on the dollar. Will that happen before? Will that happen today? No, that's not happening until next week. We'll be tracking it. Or the other thing that's possible is we come back down and we retrace without resuming off, and then we're back into the channel. All right. By the way, signal gold is unchanged on the day, and silver is up on the day with that strong dollar. All right. Just pay attention. Bitcoin with that strong dollar is up on the day, but Bitcoin has a lot of work to do over here. Bitcoin is it's not even close to being in the clear. It's actually very fragile right now. It needs to clear above 10,572 for people to be able to take a breath, and that's what we're looking at. Let me go back down over to copper, which looks. There's nothing else to say. It speaks for itself. Strong dollar, stronger copper. So, you know, is there, so you, by the way, I mean, is there a name for it when you have, not that we're not having that. Obviously, we're having a falling dollar. If you have a strong dollar and commodity prices are rising, how does that work? So pay attention. I'm seeing commodity prices rising here this morning. Palladium looks pretty good. Not, everything is hanging in there. I don't have much to say or comment about this right here. It's stuck into that resistance over there. You know, I don't have much to say about it. You can hear by my voice and my tone. RC, chill out, my brother. Yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum. We could first of all, before I go further, I want to make sure that we could do that. Is that we could I feel like we've covered the market. I feel like we're probably in a half hour. We need to do a quick review of everything again to see where we are. But I feel like we could go into a different type of flow this morning and start looking around and going over some questions, direct questions of where people are at this morning. No, it doesn't. The commodities will not go up with the dollar. But what I'm thinking I'm not sold on this dollar breakout. How about that? All right, let's look at Ethereum. So someone was looking yesterday or the day before, and they were looking to see if we would get 360. So by the way, this is the start of the bull market here, the break above the resistance at 360. That was a 2-year consolidation period we put in right over here. And then when we broke out above 360, that started the bull market on Ethereum, right? We shot up. Gene called the actual high over there, the correct resistance. He had it in at 486. He nailed it. All right. Now I'm looking personally, by the way, and I'm holding all of my position at least to 800. So I'm not even looking to exit. But let's look at what's going on over here. We had 3.6. This is the bull market. This is now becoming stronger and stronger support. We're testing into it and resuming off of it here this session. If anyone's looking for, and I added over here and here myself, right? If anyone's looking for, this is when I started building the position. If anyone's looking for an entry into Ethereum, is this a good entry? This looks like a fantastic entry on Ethereum this morning, right? Came back in. You notice over here that local, where it's now being established as support actually, right? So we could probably move that 360 up right now, move that up to 377. That area is being established as support over here. And that looks like a really good place to be entering now on Ethereum. Now, you kind of have an advantage over on when it comes to crypto right now. And that is that the cycle of Bitcoin, that the halving took place in May, and the direction of where we're headed, or at least I do, and I bet heavily on that. I feel comfortable about that. So this to me looks like a gift on Ethereum for an entry into Ethereum. Anyone looking to establish a new position or add to a position, Jason. Thanks, brother, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're digging in, right? So we just really went over Ethereum pretty well. And I appreciate the support. So right back at you. Now, if you're taking a position here on Bitcoin, right? If you're taking a position in Bitcoin, just be very, very well. So yesterday I added to Bitcoin anyway. I went ahead and I made a deposit to BlockFi, right? I went ahead and I made a BlockFi is amazing for the now going on 2 months. It's the only way I've purchased Bitcoin. It's the easiest way to purchase Bitcoin. I sent the same day wire. It appeared like 2 hours later yesterday. They were probably backed up, but 2 hours is not so bad. And then I was able to make the purchase. By the way, they now just got an email, are now offering, BlockFi is offering a play at holding gold. Now it's digitized token that's backed by physical gold. This is awesome, in my opinion. I will be using that as I accumulate gold, or maybe as I position out of Bitcoin into gold. Now, you could transfer the physical gold, but only to a vault in the UK, okay? And only on a 400 ounce, all right? So that's probably not going to be for most people, okay? So, but it is fully allocated and backed by gold, and I think that it's a lot easier. And also, there's a bunch of different vaults across the world, whether it's Singapore, whether it's the Cayman Islands, whether it's Canada or the US. You could send Bitcoin to purchase that physical gold as well. So for me, this is a really good option now. There is a link below in the description. And if you are using the service, I only recommend it because I love it and use it. And you want to support the channel that way, get on you. Yeah, thanks, Dan, for being so generous to even ask. There's one in the description below. Thank you, Dan. So Bitcoin, by the way, though, so I accumulated yesterday because I'm looking at this is as far as the lowest I think we go, right? In that area, and call it 9,200, right around there. If we go down there. So the risk to reward on this is absolutely enormous when I'm targeting over 100,000. I'm targeting 140,000. So, $1,000 move on Bitcoin. Well, I'm not really worried about that when I'm looking at 140,000 move on the upside. The risk to reward on that, I mean, could you get any better? So it's okay. That's good if you're purchasing down over here, Jason. If you're looking to kind of swing trade this and play it safe, then you want to wait till we get back above here, right? Then you're looking for a safer trade on Bitcoin. All right. Oh yeah, David, without a question, the 8-hour time frame is by far the best time frame to trade. Now, I focus in on FX, right, for my swing trades because FX is the best market to trade. Stocks are actually terrible. Why? Because the stock market is closed most of the day. FX is open 24 hours a day. Things in this world change. Anything could happen overnight. You want to always be able to exit a position, right? But the 8-hour time frame, what it does, it gives you a much more precision entry than the daily time frame, which actually lags too far. It's just really not comfortable to trade. The 8-hour also covers all 3 sessions of the day. It covers the Asian session, it covers the London session, and it covers the New York. The 8-hour time frame provides an amazing filter versus false entries. False entries that occur on the 4-hour time frame and 1-hour time frame. A lot of people think that the lower the time frame they trade, the more trades they take, the more money they can make. Actually, the more false signals you're going to get, the more whiplashing you're going to take, and you're going to be much more profitable if you simply move up your time preference. Trading on the 8-hour time frame is if you're not yet profitable, simply make that one adjustment and you're going to start seeing already an immediate increase. All right. I want to take a look at what's going on across the board over here. I want to open up to some questions. Silver now still unchanged on the day, but continues to lose a little bit, trading down. Still very, very bullish. The structure of silver is still very bullish. You could see that we're above this last support line over here. Very bullish on silver. Gold is on the verge here of, look at this. If we break this trend line over here, right? This horizontal support, if we break down below there, and then next week, this is when we'll be looking on Monday, right? Monday during what happens during Asia and London. If we get any type of retest and resumption down, that will be signaling, in my mind, technically, clearly, what could be a prolonged move down on gold. Do I sell that? No, I'm not selling it because that could be reversed quickly. I'm not going to sell something in a bull market ever, right? What I'll be looking to do, that includes Bitcoin. I don't need to sell the top of Bitcoin. I just need to position out of Bitcoin, right? But you know, if we, this is a gift if this does occur and we get back down towards 18 or 1750, those are gifts that you just want to stay neutral over here, and then looking over as you get into this area, even up here, as you get into these areas of support to look to lean into to establish a further position. And if that's happening, by the way, right, that could just be a nice handle on this then cup and handle. Right now, this is a rounding bottom, extraordinarily bullish, right? It is possible that this is a cup and we get a nice handle. Again, extraordinarily bullish. DXY, what we're waiting for, we see we're breaking out of this trend line over here. We're breaking out of this channel right now, this consolidation. We're breaking out of it to the upside. It's too soon to call it a breakout. What we need for that to happen is for a retest and then a resumption up. This will be Monday. We will be hyper focused on what happens on the DXY on Monday. Right now, it looks like we're getting that breakout to the upside. This could lead to a counter trend move, right? On the DXY. We still need to get above 93.30, right? So what probably happens if this continues is that 93.30, we run into that resistance, and then we start the retest. The retest is going to be important to see if we fall back into the channel or to see if we come back down and resume off of it. And then that's where we will be looking for that bigger move on the dollar for that counter trend move. It depends what market you're looking at. U.S. equity markets are closed. So Steve, it depends on how old you are, right? There is a video that you could easily find because it's the only one with cryptocurrency in the title that was published about 3 or 4 weeks ago that talks about how I believe people should be positioned for this, for the bull market in not only Bitcoin, but alt season, right? And it depends on, for me, it's much lower. I'm much more focused on Bitcoin. I have small positions in Chainlink, small positions in Tezos, and a small position in Ethereum, right? Now, if I were in my, if I was in my 20s, or early 30s, that position would be much higher of my overall portfolio. Why? Because they're going to outperform Bitcoin, and I would be looking, right, to concentrate my portfolio in order to be able to look to accumulate more wealth, right? The older you get, the more diversified you're looking for the least risks to hold on to that wealth. Now, I'm in my mid 40s. I got 5 kids, right? And I have over 50% of my overall portfolio, which includes the real estate we own, into Bitcoin. But I consider that to be a safe investment. Is gold a massive bull flag, or am I seeing things? All right. By the way, so that's what we're open. I mean, let me clear this up. Let me clear up my football coaching game plan. I'll keep that in though, because that's important. So what I think I see, what I do see on gold is still that's a consolidation period after a leg up. And to me, this remains and continues to be bullish, looking for an upside break, right? Are you seeing perhaps a bull flag would be something like that, right? Is that all possible? That's all possible, except at that point, I just really wouldn't call it a bull flag. I would be calling it a handle. I would be calling it the handle. It's just really all the same. Not thing, but at the end of the day, it's all the same thing anyway. It's after a leg up, is a consolidation period before the next leg up. Does that make sense, Reza? What you're looking at, what I'm looking at? Oh, Link. You guys are definitely, let's take a look. So Link is also, by the way, we just look at Bitcoin. And when I talked about Bitcoin, it's having trouble, or it's testing this area over here. And if Bitcoin resumes down, watch out, right? Chainlink also is the same thing right here. It's coming up and it's testing that resistance, this broken support is being tested as resistance. So it's really important what happens to Chainlink today. If Chainlink is able to get back above this broken resistance, and that's a failed breakdown, and that happens a lot. Breakouts and breakdowns are low probability trades. So it's quite possible that we get a close up here. But if we don't and get rejected here, then that's looking for a further resumption downwards. That's something you would sell. Only I would not sell any altcoin or and there are a lot of people that do that, but I don't think that's the smart way to do it. And if you there are a couple of other traders that like myself that I believe in, and they'll tell you the same thing. During the alt season, you should only be looking to buy, right? If something is like, if this gets rejected here, at that point you stand aside and you wait for us to come back down into some other. That could only be down here at 9. That's the next big area of support. It could be right there, right? That's coming in at 9.8. But you would be looking at those areas to see if either one of those supports held and resumed off to look to buy. So right now, Chainlink is at a very precarious place because it could be rejected here very easily, and that could lead to further sell-off and further weakness. Now, Reza, this looks like a bull flag. That looks like a bull flag, right? And coming off of the bottom of, you see that bull flag? That looks like a place, that we could be I wouldn't lean in to buy here. I'd be looking for the safer buy, right? I'm just always looking for the safer trade, but that's Chainlink. I need to catch up with a couple of questions, and while I do that, I'm going to take my first sip of this matcha tea. So by the way, if you're here this morning, if you are enjoying the session, I love how every session has a different flow depending on what the current state of the market is, and we just get to follow it. Here we are. We're going to keep following and tracking the DXY. S&P sold off hard. Let's check that out. Let's jump in over here. This is where we should be focused on. That's, by the way, the channel that we're in. We're testing support right now. All right. And not only that, I just want everyone to be clear. So we're testing that support over there from yesterday. And you guys remember that it's also that, right? It's there to there. Let me clone that and get those in there. Just so everyone is clear. All right. And you see the peaks down there, right? And then over there, that resistance. Over there, that was resistance. They're both these levels are just as important. If we break below this one, however, at that point, we're going to be targeting, well, probably down into this area of support. All right. So it's a wild day out there. And that's why I don't want anyone getting whipsawed. Do you know how many traders today are getting whipsawed around out there? And that's terrible. That's like being like caught in the waves and having the waves just pound you. That's the one place you don't want to be, is getting pounded by the waves. What we're doing is we're what do you call it? Duck diving to get under those waves by taking that position right now of we're on the side, we're neutral, we're watching, we're waiting, we're getting back past where all that roughness is, the whiplash, and we're waiting and we're looking, and then we're going to wait for that set of waves to come in and for that clarity, and that's when we'll go take our ride. Jordan, isn't this likely to be testing at 30.98? Yeah, we looked at that yesterday, right? We put in that, my lines, I don't know why they don't stay from session to session. I think my computer actually restarted this morning. Anyway, yes, there is absolutely 100% support over there. 33.98. You can see the resistance right up there, right? And if we break down over there, let's see if that coincides with anything else. Let's see. I'm going to clone a line to get a line over here. I'm bringing it down, and then I'm looking over here. I'm looking, my eye got attracted to that point right there. You could see then that's also support. That was also support, right? Support. And that support over there coinciding with this horizontal support, if we lose this line, that's a place to look in to lean into. That's a place to look to lean into, and a good one. I wish I could get this to stay. Nasdaq, let's check it out. Coming in, I mean, no, it's not yet. It's not yet. Watch traders could be really whipsawed over here. By the way, with this strong dollar, and the dollar today is strong, gold and silver are hanging in there. Bitcoin's up on the session so far. All right. Is there a flight into the yen? Let's check out what's going on with the Japanese yen. Not really. So this is kind of like, in my opinion, this is like the equity markets, by the way, were melting up. That was irrational. The equity markets were melting up, and now they've like revert. I talked about it in yesterday's video. That was just a reversion to the mean, right? And now we need to wait until they do establish some type of support, till they do give us any type of indication it's time to look for a long trade. All right, sorry about that. I do need to state the values a lot more often. Thanks for that reminder. Sam, I held Bitcoin. By the way, this is an important metric to look at. Let me say, look into Bitcoin. I'm looking for 1 year, hold a wave. So the question was, would I hold Bitcoin below 8,000? You know, to be honest, we just came through a move of Bitcoin down to 3,800. And not only did I hold through it, because I don't think we would have broken this trend line over here. This is the prime trend line on Bitcoin. We would not have broke it. And then this one over here, by the way, this was the pattern that we were in, right? And we were waiting for a break above this trend line to start the bull market. There's where we started the bull market, right? I don't think we would have broke below here if we did not have that dollar liquidity crisis. We did, right? I held through here, and I added. I showed my ads the other day. I think it was. I don't know if it was 42 or 48 and 52, but you know, I was a buyer down there. I'm not selling my Bitcoin. This is a asymmetrical trade here, and people are not selling their Bitcoin. By the way, if you look at this, this is what percent of people have been holding Bitcoin for over 1 year. And right now, it's 63% of all people holding Bitcoin have been holding it for over a year. That means 63% of people holding Bitcoin, like myself, held it through the move to 3,800. So do you think people are selling Bitcoin? No, they're not, right? Now, if you look at past every other time Bitcoin moved above 50%, that's the low in Bitcoin. When over 50% of people have been holding Bitcoin for over 1 year, that's when you get the low in Bitcoin. Now, this is a signal toward the top. Once you get back down towards 40% of people holding Bitcoin for over a year, because we're at 63% now, uber bullish. But once that comes down, as this goes up and people start selling, once you get down to only 40%, that marks the top of Bitcoin. So those are things. So on-chain fundamentals right now are extraordinarily bullish. I'm not selling Bitcoin. So what we've learned is anything's possible. I think that if we had a dollar crisis again, that yes, that's more than entirely possible. I do not think that's going to happen. I do not think that is going to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. We've all learned as oil traded negative that anything could happen in the markets. All right. So anything could happen in the markets, and there's nothing else anyone else could say about that. And the markets are funny in that a lot of things people don't think are possible tend to happen. Roman, strong together. Thank you, brother. That's right. There you go, John. Bitcoin is the honey badger, and that's something, if anyone wants a little bit of to understand Bitcoin. So it came up. Thank you. People were talking about governments around the world coming down on Bitcoin miners. So my initial thought when I read that, if you remember in the beginning of the stream, someone said, what happens if governments around the world come down on Bitcoin miners? Actually, governments around the world, like Russia, are actually inviting and opening up Bitcoin miners because they understand it's good for the economy. They want that, right? So that's not going to happen. Russia, who at first tried to even ban Bitcoin, realized that's impossible. Now embrace it. Governments around the world are first of all not going to come down on Bitcoin miners, and even if they did, it wouldn't matter because Bitcoin is the honey badger, right? Even if that meant all of the hash power coming off until that like people are able to GPU mine it again on their computers. Because if it was profitable, and each and every one of you would be mining Bitcoin on your computers if it was profitable. So do not worry. It is the honey badger. I'll become uber bearish on Bitcoin. Let me try and just pull this up for you. I will be one of the most important people bearish on the price of Bitcoin, right? As we come over here, as we get to, somewhere about, call it 33 to 30 months to the next halving, I'm going to become uber bearish on the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin trades on its 4-year halving cycle. When the halving, I'm going to show you another chart that will give you just as clear. First, look at this one. This is where I would become very bearish on Bitcoin. And when we're just looking over here at about 15 months, this dark green dot, 15 months to the next halving, a year and 3 months, that's when I'm going to start buying back into Bitcoin as everyone is talking about Bitcoin going to, remember this last cycle, Bitcoin's going down to 1,000. So many people lost money listening to those people. It's terrible. But that's what's going to make me bearish on Bitcoin. There's another chart I do want to show you really quick while you're here because this is really going to illustrate it for you really well. And I tweeted it out recently, so it'll be easy to find. If you're not following me on Twitter and you would like to, there's the link right there. Over here, this is the 4-year halving cycle of Bitcoin, right? We are here, right? We're here. So as we come up towards, and we looked at the stock to flow, how many more months to the next halving? As we get into that area, that's when I'm going to become bearish on Bitcoin. And I'm going to be expecting an 80 to 85% drawdown on Bitcoin. This was a 90% drawdown. This was an 85% drawdown. So I assume this one is going to be 80 to 85%. I will be on the sidelines waiting to take all those profits and put them back into Bitcoin as we get down towards this portion of Bitcoin. As we come back over there, I'll be taking all those profits and doing it all over again. Yes, Justin. So as you look, that's a great input. I think it's right here so I could show everyone. The first 5 dots on the last 2 cycles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the monthly close, have all been higher on Bitcoin, right? So we have 4 dots now, and all 4 of these dots so far have been higher. So, then we're getting close to the 5th, right? So either which way, if September is a down dot, probably it's an up dot, but if it's a down price dot, that's the time you want to be buying because look what happens after that first pullback. This would be a little bit earlier to get that pullback, but I mean, this is an opportunity. And the thing about opportunities, it's easy in hindsight to be able to say, oh, that was the opportunity. I wish I would have bought Bitcoin at $10,300, at $10,400. Here it is. So there's your opportunity. No, I have not, Dan. I've not heard of it. I don't know. I'm just catching up on some comments over here. There you go. I love that. I love that. I love that. I'll tell you what, when I am exiting my Bitcoin trade and I am putting some of that money into gold, I don't even care what the price will be at the time. I don't care if it's 3,000. I'll still be buying gold at 3,000. So no, when that's a good question, Mike. When governments go ahead and do introduce their digital currencies, China is already there, introducing right now the digital yuan. The dollar will be digitized, as will every other central bank's fiat currency, but it's still fiat, meaning that it's centralized and that they could continue to inflate it away. There's no capped supply like on Bitcoin, so that will only help Bitcoin because it's just gonna. Right now, there's a whole portion of the population that can't wrap their head around digital currency. But when the currency they're using every day is digitized, then they are going to be a lot more familiar with it and accepting of it. And when they realized that their digital currency is still fiat and still being inflated away, they're going to want that hard money. So digitizing the fiat currency is just going to make and give a few more on-ramps onto Bitcoin. Kips, so that was hard. When I say that was hard, I mean back during the bear market, right? And we got as low as 10,500. I had actually a mental target of 1,000. This was a stupid mistake. Excuse my language. But yeah, I had some orders in at 1,000. So silly, right? But yeah, I mean, I guess people will also be calling us stupid when we buy Bitcoin back at $30,000 because they're going to say it's going back down to 1,000. Reggie, thanks, man. Selling off losers, letting run, and it applies to equities at the moment. So, Gemma, right now in equities, we've been very clear, right? That looks so bad right there. We were very clear at this point over here that equity markets had become risky, right? Where was it? I think it was over here. I think it was right into the resistance at 33.32. The equity markets were risky and the risk to reward was no longer there. And then we saw that giant melt up. And during the melt up, you heard me say, I said, everyone, that now's the time to get neutral in equities. And I missed an 8% move. That's enormous. This was a melt up. And now you can see we're having a meltdown, but we're coming right back to where we were, right? We're coming right now into the middle of this range, a reversion to the mean. So, when you're talking about, Gemma, cutting losers short, whether you're an investor or a trader, you need to do both. You need to have whatever position you're taking, your max risk on that. And you need to always respect that max risk. Now, for many people, that's 0.5% or 1% of whatever your trade is. You're trading 0.5% or 1%, meaning no matter if you bought equities over here, like on this last resumption out over here, it doesn't matter if your stop loss is down over here or if your stop loss is here or your stop loss is here. You need to be risking the same percentage, right? And you need to be looking on the upside for whatever you're risking to be holding on to those winner trades for a much greater ratio. Reversion to the meme. I don't have any opinion on gold miners because it's not my thing. And there are those that do. I do believe that if you're going to be trading the miners, that you better know what you're doing. It is it's very risky. It's very risky. Of course, there's a lot of money that could be made, and there's also a lot of money that could be lost. Unless you're an expert, I don't think you should be doing it personally. So, I tend not to look at XRP. The thing about XRP is this. I'm going to show you to you really quick. I mean, it does look like it's setting up into a nice bull flag over here. That looks like a very nice bull flag that is setting up. You could see that we are coming into this area of support now, right? Let me change that over. Let me just delete those other lines. We'll come back to them if I need to. So I see a bull flag, and I see us into the support, resuming off there. That's a great entry on XRP. XRP still has been consolidating, still having trouble right over there above this resistance, right? Is that a little higher? You know, I guess that should be the line in the sand. It's having trouble over there. Once it gets above there, then I think XRP will be entering its bull market. Altcoins generally, now Ethereum already entered its bull market. We had others like Chainlink and Tezos making new all-time highs that started earlier. But in general, altcoins do not enter their alt season until 6 months after the halving, where that's 2 months away. So it could be another 2 months before XRP enters that bull market. And do I think XRP is going to appreciate? A lifting tide rises all boats. Bitcoin's that lifting tide. I think all coins go on to rally. A lot of money could be made on Ripple. It's highly speculative. You're trading against the company Ripple, who owns the majority of the float, and to fund and keep their company going, sell XRP to retail investors. Does that sound like something that you want to be invested in? I don't think so. Right? That doesn't sound right to me. How exposed and invested they're starting to, you just saw Fidelity opened up a new Bitcoin fund. Fidelity, $7 trillion Fidelity. They opened up a new institutional fund for Bitcoin. You now have Backed. You now have the futures markets. Institutions probably don't get really heavily invested. You look, institutions probably until Bitcoin's trading at 50,000 and above are not really FOMOing into Bitcoin. At that point, when it's $1 trillion market and they don't have any exposure, they have a fiduciary responsibility. They're going to need to be. Institutions from those that work, if you follow Anthony Papalano of Morgan Creek Digital, they work with institutions. They work with pension funds. They say that right now, institutions are using this current halving cycle as their live test case, and they're going to have to position in, but it's not going to be until they see it playing out. So institutions are going to be actually FOMOing. No, that's so silly. KP Solo, listen, if you want to learn how to trade consistently, first of all, do not put a price target on how much money you want to make, because that will never work out. If you're trading from a position of needing to make money to pay bills, you're never going to make it. It's never going to work out for you, ever. Do not do that, because then you're forcing yourself to do things that you shouldn't be doing. What you want to do is keep that part-time job so that you have income coming in, because even while you're learning to trade, as you work towards first getting to break even or better, and then you work towards consistently profitable. Look, I could show you how to become consistently profitable, but unless you have that other income coming in to continue to build and grow that account as you're growing through it, as you're growing that account and letting it compound, you still want that other source of income, so you're not drawing off that account. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere, and you'll just be like a hamster running in a wheel. No way. All right, let's test it. So again, yesterday I spent all this time putting in these trend lines here on Tesla. I don't see them. Someone on Twitter went ahead and shared with me my trend lines, my clone trend lines. Let me show that to you to get a good look at Tesla. No. Give me 1 second. I'll find it really quick. Or maybe I won't. So over here, you can see my trend lines over here, right? That's a nice bit of support over here on Tesla. And that's with nice horizontal support. So, 335, that's a great price point to look to lean into. Now, coming down further, and you can see this sloping trend line over here, right? Coming in at 330, that comes in also at 335. That horizontal support is a good place to lean into. What's Tesla trading at? 392 right now. We're over here in no man's land. So 366 is the next area of support to be looking to. 366 and then 335. It was Rex who drew these trend lines over here. Let me pull it up for you. Boom. Here you go. I'm going to include that right there. There you go. That's a great suggestion, Dan. For those who are interested in the miners, go with those who are the experts. There you go. That's a great suggestion for everyone. Icy plays. Look, Kips, we got someone trading like a wolf over there, staying with the pact, learning what it takes. No, they're not. The IMF is introducing their own central bank digital. The name of the IMF's digital currency is the Central Bank Digital Currency, the CBDC. They don't need Ripple. They have their own. Just looking over here, what else we got going on over here? Good morning, Zen. Thanks, Raphael. Let's take a look now at the DXY. Let's go over everything right now and see what's going on over here. All right, I have a little bit of cloudy over there. So how high do we get? We were looking for 93.30. We got as high as 93.22. Now it looks like potentially that retest is starting. We are looking right now to see if one of two things happens. We are looking to see one of three things that could potentially happen. This is our game plan going into next week because this plays out on Monday. Whether or not we get a retest that is a failure and brings us back into the consolidation part. Whether or not we get a retest that is successful, holds, and a resumption off, we're buyers. Or maybe we break the 93.30 without ever getting the retest, come back in, retest 93.30, and if that holds, that's where we're looking for the counter trend trade to start. All right, so that's just playing out. There's not much else to say. That this becomes active on Monday for us. That becomes active for us on Monday. What else do we have going on over here? We want to check out what's going on with gold. I'm sorry for the mess. Gold is focused on that, which we are breaking right now. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say we're breaking right now just because this is what matters. Let me clean that up. This horizontal trend line coming in, this horizontal support line coming in at 1930, that's what matters, right? If we break below there, sorry about that. If we break below this 1930 support line, if we close above it, we're still within our consolidation pattern, right? If we break below it, then we're looking for a retest, and if that does not hold, and we resume off of it, then we're looking for a prolonged down move on gold. All right, so that's what's going on with gold, but it's on a strong day that by the dollar, gold is still pretty much unchanged. Silver, again, this is the line for silver we're looking at that comes in right around 25.95. Above there, look, silver continues to look very, very good and technically very bullish. So both gold and silver are on the verge of perhaps breaking down a little bit further right now where they could get into some type of trouble. But still, that's the place where you're looking for it to hold and to buy. Monday's a holiday in the US. Bitcoin, you could see that rejection taking place so far. Watch out for it. We looked at that as we got on over there. You could see it now. Watch out. Yeah, we saw that happen all through January, all through February. You saw the dollar so strong. And you also saw gold stronger. So that, of course. But be careful who you call an expert. Matcha, right? If you're on the wrong side of the trade by a large margin, could you call yourself an expert? Peter Schiff, right? I mean, this guy is you know, Peter Schiff is really good to listen to if you want to know what the end game is going to be. Actually, oh, this is great. There's some conference that takes place up in Vancouver, the Cambridge conference, and you saw Peter Schiff and Brent Johnson debating each other. And Brent Johnson is like, listen, even a broken clock is right twice a day, because Peter Schiff has the long-term direction of gold correct. But for 7 years, he had everyone on the wrong side of the trade. He had everybody on the wrong side of a trade. You know, it would be like me holding Bitcoin through the whole bear market and having people, not taking profit. So in the long run, he's right. But that's the same thing that's going on with people who are, so bullish on the dollar right now. Right? You can't be on the wrong side of the trade. Be careful who you listen to. Listen to everyone. People on both sides of the argument, right? Triangulate them, and then you figure out what you perceive to be what you want to take from each of them. That's what you do. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Platinum is the new palladium. Is $1,000, and so those that start with working with me, I want you starting on a demo account. I take you to your consistently profitable on a demo account, because if you can't do it on a demo, you can't do it on a live. And because we trade so smartly, because of our risk to reward ratios, because of how much you're risking per trade, because of how many trades you're taking per week, there's no difference between trading a live account on a demo. Don't buy that nonsense that there's like this cost of education that's losing money in the markets. That's all nonsense. Yeah, $1,000 is enough to start with, but you want to again be having that other income so that you could keep, those first few years. If you're starting with $1,000, right? You could turn $1,000 with a 25% return into well over $1 million over a 15-year period. But if you're adding $500 a month the first 3 years, you're going to do it in 10 years instead of 15. Andre, Tesla, the nemesis. So I don't think anything about Elliott waves, I think that they're highly subjective, right? Anyone who trades or is an expert in Elliott wave theory knows that it's just subjective. How I trade is off of price alone, off the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and chart patterns. It is absolutely the best way to trade. I do all of my entries only off the 8-hour time frame. Did I say Bitcoin is about to break out? From when and where? Why we're over here inside this channel over here before yesterday's price action, I was leaning towards Bitcoin consolidating here and breaking out towards the 14,000 level, right? 100%. Now, I always look at what the risks are, and the biggest risk that I'm looking for was down into the trend line, that 25% drawdown, right? That's the big risk. I also looked at, the possibility of us closing the CME gap at 9,600. Now, I didn't think that we would break below this trend line over here. That was my base case, that we did not break below that trend line. And now here we are trading below 10,500, 10,572. So I can't predict the market, right? I can only trade what's happening. And now what I'm looking at is right now, we've broken through that 10,572 support, came up retesting it. And if we resume off of it, you gotta be expecting that we could close that CME gap and then maybe even possibly even go lower and come down into here. Those are all possibilities. Do I think that's going to happen? Well, at this point, I'm 50-50. Do notice that you also have a lot of people, you had a lot of people short here who were pushing this to close the CME gap. And so far that didn't happen. So they could be caught. All that I do know is that if we resume down off of this, the odds of us closing that CME gap become a lot stronger. If we do not, and we close above that 10,572, well, then the odds of us never even closing that CME gap became a lot higher. Look, unless you could be honest, and unless you could, first of all, as a trader, you have to be okay with being wrong. If you're not okay with being wrong, this is not for you. This is absolutely not for you. So I don't even pay attention to RC, right? RC, man, what's going on? Are you lacking in love? What's going on, brother, with you, right? Why are you trolling? We'll give him one more chance. I think RC could potentially add a lot to the community. Square was trading at a 294 price to earning when I looked at it over the weekend. That's insane. What's happening over here, right? I don't know. Equities are again too risky right now. Yeah, I own some in a retirement account. Do not trade today. Do not trade today. Why? So I think I looked at that, by the way. I think I looked at this week, not in yesterday's video, in the video before. So right now, you could see that the market's really, I don't want to talk politics because a lot of people are really just going to get triggered. There's the potential that, look at Bitcoin, watch Bitcoin. We don't need to talk about it today because we'll talk about it in October. There's the potential, as you saw the Washington Post article yesterday, that unless Biden wins in a landslide, there's just going to be riots across the country. No one's going to accept Trump's win. I assure you, if Biden wins, that those that voted for Trump will accept it. If it happens the other way around, there's going to be chaos in the country. The worst thing that could happen is that there's no clear winner on the night of the election. You could see that's what they've already one side is already saying is going to happen. The markets do not like uncertainty. Now, the markets are already pricing in that huge uncertainty. Therefore, in my mind, the odds of it being a non-event are actually greater and greater, right? When everyone is looking for the same thing, generally it doesn't happen. But we'll talk about that later as it's time. That's a really, well, that's an interesting thought, Jude. And I don't know. All those I know, I think it's more correlated to the adoption of Bitcoin. Because the more people that are buying Bitcoin, the more revenue Square is bringing in. Well, again, I don't want to talk politics, but I'll end it with this and then I will not continue, Aaron. But you know, that's not fair because you said everyone's tired of the hate on both sides, but that hate is not coming from the president, nor is it coming from those that voted for him. That hate is coming from the other side. So to remove the hate, to give the other people's side what they want, that's not how our nation works. That's not how our nation works. So that's it for politics. This is not a place to discuss politics. Go to another channel if you want to discuss politics. And that's it. Gene, that's a rough overview. I'm not giving any absolute or painting anyone into a corner, right? But I guarantee if President Biden wins, there's not going to be riots in the streets. But when President Trump won, there were riots in the streets. And if he wins again, there will be riots in the streets. You can't, and no one could argue that. Dollar breaking out? No, you're just joining us. S&P continues to bleed here. Let's see what's going on. I'm just giving that all a second to pass. All right. We're coming down over here now. You could see this is an important level. This trend line over here, we're coming into this area of supply as well. This is an area, if I was short the Nasdaq, I would be looking to take profit into this area of support over here. Let's see what happens. There's nothing else to do but wait and see right now. As we were coming up over here and maybe a lot of people were buyers, what did we say? There's no way to buy. All we could do is wait and stand on the sides and wait until this plays out further and we actually have something to lean against or into. Now, you can see that we're coming down at a sharp, sharp angle, right? So now we have 2 points at least. Let me do that. Still way too sharp for me, right? So I'm not going to even put it there. You can see the last time that happened, that sharply, right? That was the end. So watch out for something like that, but that's not the one to buy into. This was the one to really buy into. Just wait. There's nothing else to say but wait and wait and wait, right? Nasdaq bleeding out as well. Coming into an area of support though. Coming into an area of support. Oh, so gold is a confirmed breakdown. If we close below 1930 today, below this trend line over here, right where it is right now, gold's trading at 1923. It's breaking down below that trend line, below this long trend line over here. It's breaking down below it. It's got to close below it, right? And then after that close, trying to be able to show you again. So you have over here, this area is probably where gold bounces from, right? If we continue, we could close above here. If we close above 1930, gold's still within its consolidation pattern. If we close down outside of here, then we're looking for a retrace, testing that broken support as resistance, and a resumption down, and that could lead to a bigger move down on gold. That could lead to really what is a handle on a cup and handle if that were to occur. So maybe it'll be a good idea to do a video tomorrow talking about what happened after the close with gold, what's going on with Bitcoin, silver, and our plan for the dollar going into next week. No, 15-minute is absolutely 8 hours the best. 8 hours the best, Dylan. Let's come back over to silver. Silver looks, again, above this level over here. Call it like, I don't know, 26. Call it 26. And as long as we're above it, silver is actually, its bullish structure is well in place, right? So a resumption off of this gives an opportunity to look for a possible buy to lean in. If silver loses that, then we start looking for that prolonged move down and to buy. Bitcoin in trouble here. That's what we looked at this morning, right? And we could see that it looks like it's possibly now going to be resuming back downwards. Not very good here for Bitcoin. The dollar, on the other hand, continues to look and maintaining that's breakout above. I'm sorry, this is just a session that all you need to do is wait for a little bit further of clarity. If anyone could see that right now, everyone should be able to see that right now is the single worst time to be looking for any type of entry. Things are just really rough. Things are really violent and things are murky. We're waiting for that clarity before we look to take our positions. Right now, do you know how many people lost money trading this morning? I assure you, people got wrecked this morning. Trade with a plan. So those that were looking, by the way, at the head and shoulders on Bitcoin, they're pretty spot on. They were pretty spot on. Those that were looking at the left shoulder, I was not head and right shoulder, right? They were spot on. And look at I think they're targeting, I forgot, but I think it's 9,700. Let me see right now. Yeah, 9,750. That's what they're targeting, and they whether they hit it or not, they were still spot on how they were looking and what they traded. That trend line was the neckline. That move came really quick. This $500 came within, I think, minutes, right? And you know, I applaud those that saw that and were on that. I will not be looking to take the counter trend trades there on at all during the bull market. A cleaner look at the so here we are right now. You could see that we're coming in to this area of support over here. This is the important piece to be looking at right now, right? The level is 33.40. This is a big area of support, and if this were to hold and resume off, does that open up a possible on the break of that trend line over here to go long? Well, I think that's going to be the first move upwards, and then it would be the second move that would be the one that we'll all look to establish positions. I can't see that happening before Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So we're just going to be patient and wait and watch. On the downside further, let me just go ahead and take one more trend line now and look. Is there anything else going on that we want to focus in on? Hold on one second with me, please. So what I'm focusing in on right now, just so you know, is I'm looking at this areas over here, that support, that resistance. They're the bodies held. They're that little bit of a body, again, resistance. That line doesn't seem to be sloped correctly, right? It's gotten too high. It should be like that. So is that much of a line? Not really. That doesn't really offer me any help. So I'm not even going to leave it there right now. And I'm going to look and check that candle over here right now. And that's not too much of a, it's not too much of a point that I really want to focus in on myself. So I'm not going to include that. And then the last thing I'm checking is this, these peaks. You can see these all peaked. The wicks of the candle peaked here, 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 here again, the candle wicked down to there. Here that provided support. So that's a good line, right? You see the first two, like they're kind of weak. This one is important. And then over there, look, that was resistance. So that's a good line. That comes in exactly with the support over here. This is a place that I sincerely believe the move could bottom out at today. That's a good thing to know, Enrico, right? Long term, there's a lot of money to be made investing. Yeah, there's a good chance that Bitcoin is able to close that CME gap. What else are we looking at? The Nasdaq. Let's check in over here. So at the same time, the S&P is coming into that area of support. Again, the Nasdaq also is right now. Those are big moves. I'm just going to go back and say it now that we're back to where it was over here, 33.33, that I said, now I'm getting neutral in the markets because the risk to reward is no longer there. And we're just back there now. So how do you like them apples? And not only that, I think next week could be an opportunity. I think next week could potentially be an opportunity for us to look to get long on the equity markets again. So that's nice, but we're going to wait. And then over here, if we break down over here from this trend line over here, then things could start to get interesting. Then things could start to get interesting. And then we have to watch out for a potential move all the way down to 31.23. So that could happen next week. That might be something that we're discerning and watching the downside risk. Does it make sense for people to short the market if we start breaking down outside of this trend line over here? Well, that's when it does open up the potential for us to start looking at shorts on the equity markets. That's right. This is a healthy pullback. This makes everything make a lot more sense. Whether it bottoms or not, I'm not looking to trade a bottom on a Friday afternoon. If the market bottoms over here, which it potentially could, I would feel a lot safer, right? I would feel a lot safer waiting for a bounce and then a retest. Even if I'm buying higher, even if I wind up buying in higher, I'd feel a lot better about it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. There's no move to be made. Do I think that this is an area of support where for today we could bottom? Yes. For today, I think we could be bottoming in that area. That does not mean that I would want to take a long position on it at all. On the contrary. Could the DXY go back to 96? So I'm going to first start on the 3-day just to give you a deeper overview of the DXY, and then we'll take a look at it together. All right, that was a big technical break here on the DXY. Do you see it going back all the way here? This goes back to 2011. All right, this was my prime line, and you could see that we peaked below it. So I cloned that line, and then I touched this and that touch. Okay, so both of these two lines are extraordinarily relevant, and both of those were big technical breakdowns. Now, if we resume up, we're going to be looking for places of resistance. 94 is a place of resistance. If I zoom out a little bit, I want you to see, you can see over there that area of support, right? over here, then it was providing resistance. That's an area. And then also you have 95.15. I'm not looking there now, so I'm not going to be looking at it. And then also these trend lines are going to provide resistances. So is it possible that we trade up to this trend line over here and test this trend line, which coincides with 96.40? We got some resistance there at 96.40. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If we get above this trend line and this trend line, which is coming in today at 95.80, by the time we made it above it, it would be higher than 96.40. And that horizontal resistance at 96.40, above there, the dollar is very, very bullish. Okay? Below there, the dollar remains bearish. We've had some big technical breaks. Now, this hasn't been tested yet. This trend line and this trend line have not been tested after the breakdown. So it's quite possible that if the dollar is weak and the trend continues, we will never make it above 94. If we make it above 94, the next line that we're looking at is this trend line over here, the lower trend line for a rejection. And then this one is a big one. So as long as we're below there, dollar weakness continues, looking for a counter trend move, maybe next week, but that will be the places we'll be looking to fade it. So the dollar could definitely trade back to 96. Yeah, I'm gonna lead you to the best place, right? And it's on the channel. Go to the playlists. You'll see the Bitcoin playlist. Watch the first 4 videos at least. They are very well presented. You're going to really understand the 4-year cycle by watching those videos. So start there, and then you're gonna walk away having a really, really good understanding. All right. Bitcoin took out yesterday's low, huh? I think gold is in a long-term bull market. I think it's just beginning. It just made new all-time highs. Go back to 2008, December of 2008 on a gold chart. Look at the last time the Fed started QE. Look how long it took thereafter for gold to make a new all-time high. And then look how after it made that new all-time high, it pulled back. And then look after that what gold did over the next couple of years. That's what I think we're seeing play out again. Again, I'm looking at signal. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, meaning the government is going to be providing more stimulus. The Fed is going to be expanding their balance sheet. Everyone clearly knows the state of the economy, and it is not pretty. There's going to be massive more help needed. All of this triggered by the coronavirus, not even by the coronavirus itself. All of this triggered by the response to the virus, and it's going to be a long, long time before growth continues. It will not be until growth continues that I think the bull market in precious metals comes to an end. We got London close coming up in 5 minutes. That tends to be when you see a lot of peak of moves. Again, so whoever exited that they're short here at that right time. Well, first of all, I hope our look at it helped you provide clarity for your exit. But you're the one in the trade, and you're the one that gets a 100% of all the credit. Nice trading. Well done. Cameron, What a pleasure to see you. Look at that. We tested that 360 over the last, I guess, 15 minutes. Beautiful. That's right, Miguel. Gold and silver are holding up pretty well. Gold and silver are holding up pretty well. I wish we could fast forward together, 5 hours and be looking at the closing hour right now together, because that's what is going to be so important today. Why I definitely did not plan on doing it, probably because of it. I'll look to provide a video over the weekend. Thanks, GA. Appreciate that. Boom. Rex, it's holding in there. We got 360 as the line. It's holding in there. Maybe. But again, I mean, it's not only precious metals, but also stocks are trading against the devaluation of fiat currency. And that devaluation is going to continue. Remember what happened in Venezuela when their economy literally went to as bad as you can get. Their stock market was trading at all-time highs. Oh, yeah. Just check out Oanda. Checks out Oanda is a really good way. Oanda FX Trade, you could connect it to TradingView for US. It's fantastic. I mean, for me, I'm all about the physical. Nice bounce over there on Ethereum. So, by the way, and just so we're all on the same page, right? Everyone knows, because we're looking at whether or not Bitcoin could close above or under. So the market is so interesting today that I don't want to leave. I'm running out of things to add to the conversation at the moment, but the markets are very interesting here, and I'm here watching them too. US dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at that. By the way, with that strong, by the way, gold hit the US dollar, Mexican peso hit my target down here at 21.50. Huh? This was this was done differently. Interesting. I don't know how to process that all yet, because you're seeing the stock market getting obliterated, but you're seeing the the Mexican peso up against the dollar, right? That's signal to me that the move on I think everyone's wrong on the equities. By the way, everyone is calling the top over there. I'm waiting. I like what happened here, because this now just gave us a reset. Because as we get closer to this area over here, that is where my risk to reward is where I want it to be for being long equities. So next week, we might actually be entering the market again on the equities. No, no way. I don't do that. I mean, we have a big spike up so far this morning, but over here is just 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago before the spike, where we said if anyone was short, this is where they would be looking to take profit. That's all we could say. That's as far as we could go. Nice purchase, Vincent. That is, that's a phenomenal entry. That was the line of the bull market. There, I mean, go blah, blah, blah. The altcoin market is just starting. That's where Bitcoin. I have a position right there myself. This is where I first told you all I was buying Ethereum. 1-2 ad. This was my third ad. You're in at the same place. That's a fantastic entry over there. We're going to be looking next week, right, as a possible place maybe to enter equity markets. But right now, you don't enter long. Right now, you do not enter long. There's no signal to enter long. There's no need for us to look at it because we will look at it as it's there. Everyone should be on the sidelines right now. Man, I was adding Bitcoin yesterday. And what about gold? What's gold doing during all this madness? Gold is still struggling. Omar, thank you for that. I do. There's a link in the description, not only for beginners, for sure, people of all levels, right? I have people who started with zero experience. Actually, Brad, if you're listening, who built the website, had zero experience. After spending a few weeks in the program, built the website for us. People with zero experience, it's by far the best place that you could ever begin, by far. There are traders who have been trading for 12, 15 years who took the program and then turned the corner to profitability. And there are those that have made a ton of money watching the live stream, just wanted to say thank you, take the course just as a way of saying thank you. And then they learn something also in the process as well. So there is not a better place for a beginner, for sure. I just invited my nephew, 18 years old, yesterday to join the program. He has zero experience. He just got attracted to the stock market. So for trading equities alone, no. But what you learn in the course is applicable to every single market. The same, I'm teaching people to trade off of price, off of support and resistance. There are many who take the program just for the equity markets. Now, I do believe that while you're going through and working with me in the program, that it's going to make the most sense to trade foreign exchange because it's an easier and better market on a demo account. And then, a few months later, then you could take everything that you know and learned and then apply that to equity markets. Thank you for that comment. This is actually my favorite comment of the day. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for taking the time for the shout out and to let me know. Let's take a look at the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. So what I could see over here right now, it looks like we're breaking outside of this trend line over here. That could be signaling a move into the yen, but at the same time, it's too soon. First of all, we need to see where this closes today because you look for the daily to see if you have that broken level. Now, you also see if I move my mouse down over here, you see that resistance and then let me zoom in for 1 second. Do you see over here where my mouse is, this resistance? And then you see that was flipped to support. So you're right there. Maybe we bounce up over here. Now, more importantly, if this is a breakdown today, and then we'll be looking at this next week, I would not be selling it because this isn't an uptrend, right? I only buy off supports and uptrends. That means I will be getting neutral and looking perhaps for a better place to enter. That might be over here. or that might be down over here, but I would be at that point exiting any long trade you're in, getting neutral, and waiting for a further pullback. But a trend line break like this, and then you have the break of the support up here at 116.31. At that point, if you're in a long, you want to be out of the trade. You want to be out of the trade, and then you could re-enter, right? If you come back up and you're able to flip that back into support, that will provide an entry. But then you'd want to be exiting a long trade. Thank you, Gemma, for being such an important part of it, for being here with us. Well, the streams are you could watch the replay at your own convenience. Thank you, Jordan. All right, let's check in what's going on. I see the dollar strengthening. Right? I see the dollar strengthening coming into 93.30. We're going to take a long look at the dollar next week, right? It's a very important level. Gold selling off. Gold continuing to weak on that dollar strength over there. That's a great, but Noah, to my 21-year-old self, the most important piece of advice I could give you is to be long-term minded. I bought the Facebook IPO and then I sold it for whatever gain, thinking I was a hero. I bought the Google IPO and I sold that thinking I was a hero. If I would have held both of those small investments for the 20 years, both of them would have been worth millions. Noah, be long-term minded at 21. Learn how to trade the markets, but also make sure that you're making investments now. Asymmetrical investments. $1,000 bet in Tesla right now. Well, if it goes to zero, you lost $1,000 at 21 years old. That really means nothing. But that, Tesla 20 years from now, the potential is there, right? Bitcoin right now, holding it now for the next 10, 20 years, you got to be long-term minded. If I was 21, I would probably be taking a risk right now on Tesla. I would be investing in Bitcoin. Yeah, I thought I was a hero, right? That's good. Thank you for that. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Yeah, Sam, and you thought it was a great trade, right? I've been there. Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you would. I am quite well off. And I'm still here and I always will be. So, but you know why? Because I'm doing my analysis. And I tell you what, my analysis becomes much stronger having to do it from the educator standpoint. First of all, I spend much more time than I used to alone going over the charts. It increases my game. If you look at the best athletes in any sport, they are also happen to be the ones that put the most time in their training off court, right? So 100%, this is a huge benefit for myself. All right, everyone. I think we're going to call it a morning. It's been a long set. I don't want to let go here only because I just love this stuff. But I do want to get some breakfast. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So if we could just end this session, by the way, if you haven't yet, give this video a thumbs up. Please go ahead and spread some love. I hope to see you all again Monday morning for those that can make it. And if not, I think it's very important. You guys all saw on vacation, I was on vacation, but gold and silver dumped hard. So I I uploaded a video because it was important. I think this weekend, the close of today is so important that I'm going to do a little bit of a roundup, give us a little bit of an edge going in until Monday. And then Monday is looking like September is not disappointing here. Everyone have a beautiful, beautiful day. It is Labor Day on Monday. So FX is open. I'm going to be live streaming on Monday to check in with everyone to see what's going on. Bitcoin doesn't close for anyone. The cryptocurrency markets, whether or not it's a shorter or a longer session, I'll be here. Roman, thank you, brother. Thank you, Uday. Yeah, at some point this weekend, I will do and give us an update. It warrants it.